Welcome to the Christian Ackerman Rant Podcast 3000, and I'm your host, Christian Ackerman. This is our episode 4. Thank you for those of you tuning in where you can tune in. Thank you for those of you who are watching who can watch. We appreciate those people who have found us so far and thus far, and we're coming to you live from headquarters at Fast Coast Productions here in Southern California. We just currently moved from San Diego, from Montana to San Diego, and we've been going on this journey. Me and my wife have been going on this journey. I'm gonna have her come on another episode. She was just on our last episode 3. If you want to go check that out, episode 3 there. We've done this is a month of podcasts and gotten through this month. It's my whole thing why I started this podcast was to not procrastinate on my own projects. I won't procrastinate on other people's projects. Those things need to get done. Those things are very valid and time sensitive because my projects are funded by my self-love and with my empty pockets. And with viewers like you. So talking about that, if you want to help support us, go to christianackerman.com, go to fastcoastproductions.com, go to fastcoastfilmacademy.com. That's all the things we do. We do a lot of creative things out there. And so we're here to have creativity, do a creative edge, and make things happen. This podcast, if you're just stumbling on upon it, as I said before in the last couple ones, is there's no real structure to it, but hopefully I will, as I go throughout the podcast, that I will have some kind of structure. I'll find the structure as I go. This is kind of like to help me get out those moments I had. I was a high school teacher for about 6 years. In my high school room, I was able to do these motivational like pump up speeches to get the kids all motivated to work, and to also during finals week to make them feel better and to make them, everything's gonna be okay kind of thing. And one of my kids started calling it a rant, and then all the kids started calling it Mr. Ackerman Rant, and it was cool because they made it sound like something like cool and edgy when it was just me motivating the class, and it was really cool, and it felt really good when kids would come up to me and say, "Hey, Mr. Ackerman, I need a rant today." And so this is my soapbox, so I can do it. Thank you for all the social media that allows me to do that, and all our links of where you can find this program. And if you stumbled upon it, this is where you can go to find it and find more. If you're coming late in the game and watching this. But this is the podcast show, and this is something we want to do. And just to help us out and support us, go over to those sites or click the donate button that you see. There will also be a link in the description as well where you can click donate and all that good stuff, and it just helps us out as we build this and make this grow. And also comment, make suggestions. We will listen to them. Even if you're a negative person, even if you're a troller, we don't mind. Comment, it's fine. I will ignore you. Anyway, so let's get on with this. Today I was talking to my wife. My wife. I was talking to my wife, and I was talking to my aunt, Michelle, and we were talking about stuff, and we were talking about things, and all of a sudden it hit me. It was like I was reminded about this myself, and I looked over at them as we were talking, and I was like, oh my goodness. They were talking about somebody who was basically those people that kind of remind, they're there, they talk to you, and then you find yourself trapped in their conversation where they're reminding you, or they're telling you in a weird condescending way, or kind of almost in a way of suggestive way, that you are a loser and they're doing amazing. And you, in no way you were judging yourself when you came into the conversation. You weren't comparing yourself to them, but then they started pointing out things about you, saying, it's too bad you have this, or it's, if you do that, it's too bad, it could have been better. Oh, it's great, but it could be better. Oh, it's good for you that you have that. Like they start pushing off that, it's not really being, what would I say, the word will come to me later on, but it's kind of negativity brought on to you, and it makes you kind of just go, what? And two, I've been in those moments, and two, if you catch it while it's happening, you could just be like, why are they talking to me? And then I'm done with the conversation. I'm like, hey, we're done. There's nothing. I go, well, I hope your life's amazing. Toodaloo. I hope you do good. obviously, I don't know what the vibe is with us, and I don't know, you're not really encouraging me. Goodbye. I go here, you go there. Walk away. Anyways, so we were talking about that, and sometimes people will point out, like, man, your life stinks, or man, I can't believe you're going through that right now. People say that, and it's either encouraging, I can't believe you're going through that right now. Like, I've gone through things, and I've been going through something, and then I've gotten through it, or I'm in the midst of it, and I've had people go, wow, I didn't realize you were going through that. I didn't realize you were going through that. And I felt like, man, that's a big compliment. That is an amazing compliment. I appreciate that compliment. I'm like, awesome, thank you. But yeah, I'm still going through it, or yeah, I did get through that, and thank you. That's enough compliment that you didn't know I was going through that. And I don't. This is not like where you're keeping it inside. Like me, I try to have the people I can talk to. Like I have my wife I can talk to. I have like people in my wheelhouse I can talk to and kind of vent with. And then too, I pray a lot, and I think you should too. Prayer changes things. Anyways, and then I'll pray for you if you don't think so. But anyways, I just find myself, when they were talking about this, my family was talking about people like that, and they were talking about a specific person that was doing that just recently, and I was like, wow, you got to remember where you're going, or you got to remember what you're doing at the moment. You got to remember who you are. You got to really like yourself. You got to really love yourself when those things happen, so that you are confident and it won't affect you. It might, it still stings a little bit when people are mean to you, right? And they say mean things to you, and they sting a little bit, because you do. They say don't take it personally, but you do take it personally, because that's what it's meant for. Those things they're throwing at you, they're meant to hurt and sting and make you feel terrible, miserable. And it goes, I can go even deeper with that. But what I want to get on today, and as we've been doing these podcasts, I've been coming up with the titles during the podcast. I didn't even know what I was going to call this thing, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to name, I almost just, the thing that just popped in my head, I'm just going to go with it, it ain't pretty while you're building it. It ain't pretty while you're building it. It ain't pretty. And I think I'm just going to name it, It Ain't Pretty. And I'm going to explain a little bit what it means, it ain't pretty. I'm going to say maybe life, it ain't pretty when you're building it. It'll be something like that. But it ain't pretty. Well, it ain't pretty. I'm going to say ain't. I don't care what you guys say. If you have a problem with it, I don't know why you have a problem with it. You're like, he said ain't. I don't know how to help you with that one. Maybe eat a cookie. I have no idea. But anyways, so let's move on. Anyways, it ain't pretty. That's the title of this podcast. Let's move on here and let's go with it. So I was wondering, lately, right now, I'm in my little studio, my makeshift studio here. It's, I think it's awesome. I did a great job building it I built this thing, and my dad helped me build this thing, and it's really been very useful in what I'm doing right now. It's been very useful in my other jobs I'm doing right now. It's been very useful. It's very useful in the work I'm doing right now. I've used this thing so many times. I gotten my money out of it already in the last few months I've been here. I've almost been here a year. We moved down here in October, still have our business, and we still have a place, to stay. We have an address, place in Montana, and then we have a place here in California, because we came down here just to be with the family. There was an opportunity, and I'm going to explain that a little bit, because it ain't pretty when you're building your life. It ain't pretty. It's not fun. It's not fun. But it's funny though, how social media, especially like Facebook, will do those memory things, or your iPhone will do these memory things, like, and they'll put a little thing, and you're like, these are stupid. I remember that. They, like, right now it's been reposting memories of my son when he was a baby, when he was born, and when he first walked. Like, I was just filming him when he took a step, because he got his hands in water, and he's like, ew, and he stood up and just started walking for the first time. I was like, and it was just amazing. And then I'll post things of my daughter when she was born, with a cute little smile and gummy teeth, no teeth, and she's just a baby, cute little baby. Just like, oh my goodness, they grown. And those dirty diapers, they ain't pretty. they ain't pretty when they grow up, but oh my gosh, they've grown into some beautiful, like an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. Oh my gosh, they're the best. I still yell at them today. We were driving back from the beach. We get to go to the beach. It's amazing right now. And so I kind of want to share about it ain't pretty, and you can look at the ain't pretty part of life, but you have to look at the beautiful part of it that's been built. And I'm going to try not to get emotional during this thing. I'm going to try. I always say this in class, and especially if any of my old students are watching this, I'm going to try. And I've done this a few times. It's not my first rodeo, so I can get through it, but we'll see. We'll see how I do, and I'll try to keep it professional. Maybe everything will be just fine. But anyways, yeah, it ain't pretty. And so, you have to get through things. And sometimes they have things called, growing pains. It hurts. It stinks as you're growing. Yeah, life's happening. It's not pretty. When you're building a house, you have to dig up dirt. You got to build things. You get dirty. You get tired. It's dusty. And then the house is done. And it's so pretty in the end once it's done. But getting there is very dirty, very gritty, hard work, sweat, blood, and tears, and a lot of high money involved. Another stress and all kinds of things. It ain't pretty while you're going through it. I some of this stuff, as we talk about the podcast, I'll have my wife on again, and we'll be sharing more. And two, we started this a year or so ago when we decided to do what we were about to do. And I remember there was a moment in my life where it clicked with me that all the things I've gone through, all the things I've been through, was a part of a beautiful journey that was amazing. And I knew there was something. I was just trying to stay positive. I'm like, this can't be it. Whenever life stunk, this can't be it. Like, my parents got divorced, and I always, as a kid, I'm like, this stinks. And I hated it when people said you had 2 Christmases. Lucky. They were trying to make me positive. It was like platitude, so I didn't want to hear it. I'm like, well, that's great. I know. It was exciting to fly on the plane during the busiest holiday of the season, like on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve day. Whatever we had to fly. Sometimes it was like the day after Christmas, but most of the time we had tickets. It was the 90s, so we had tickets. We were flying in on that plane on Christmas Day, and with a lot of other people. I met a lot of people. Normally, people on that day they're stressed out. A lot of people. It's just like you can cut the tension with a knife. There's a lot of people that are excited because they're going to see family members. That's what we were doing, but we were more reminded. Me and my brother were reminded we had to travel by, because the court said. We were always reminded the court said. The court. They always said the court said, and not my parents. I just have to be honest. Maybe as I get this, I know you guys want to hear this, but one of my parents would remind us it was the court, and it was normally the person we had to go up to visit, and we hated it. And that's another podcast in itself, because that's something about, I want to talk about that. That's called forgiveness. Forgiveness sometimes is not pretty. It's a hard thing to deal with, and you, by grace above, thank goodness he takes that on. So, and we'll get into that later. But yeah. So, and I'm gonna just be honest. It was a hard time. I remember those times, and it ain't pretty, but it got me through it, and it did something to me and made me understand what I hold important to me during those tough times. Like what was the grace? What was, I heard, I just forgot his name, but really famous motivational speaker, entrepreneur, all that above. I'm just blanking his name out, but if it comes to me, I'll say it. But trying, it's almost there. Said, you embrace, you gain grace, and it's so true. Especially when you're a kid, you can kind of pivot easily. We've been born to pivot in life, and something happens to us as we get older, and some of us continue to pivot and embrace it and enjoy it, and our tenacity and our perseverance is amazing key, because we did name our podcast Perseverance, our last one. And but I think sometimes we lose the pivot, we lose the tenacity, we lose the perseverance. Something happens to us as we get older. We get hurt too many times, so it starts causing more fear barriers. So we put up these barriers, and we're afraid to even step out because we don't want to be hurt. Nobody wants to be hurt. So it's funny that we kind of cause our own demise in a way because we don't know it. We end up blaming others for our own problems, and the people cause problems, but how do we get out of it? We can get out of it, and at the moment there can be oppression and stuff, but we have to keep our mind strong, and it's hard to. And I stink at it while I'm in it, and then once I get out, I'm like, oh, okay, I got out. Like if I get hurt, like if I hit my finger with a hammer, I'm gonna say ouch. I'm not gonna go, I'm getting through it. Oh no, I'm gonna say ouch, and maybe a little cuss word's gonna come out because I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. Judge me all you want. I'm not, and it's okay. But I tried to be good, and so it ain't pretty. Let's get back to the ain't pretty. And I can think of what I was, saying there was kind of setting up where I'm going to go with this is that when you set out in life to do something, to build something, or you don't even know exactly, but you think this is the way to go. I see these people doing it. This is the way I'm going to do it. And you start going that way and it's a mess. Like, for example, I went to college. No, wait. Let's start before college. I so badly wanted a video camera because everybody, like in the late '80s, early '90s, were making movies. They were making films, like on these video cameras. And America's Funniest Video, all that kind of stuff was happening. And I just want to make a movie. And I was watching Movie Magic on Discovery Channel, how to make movies. I was looking up those magazines. I even looked at the Fangoria magazines, the Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine, Starlog, all the and those special edition magazines that would come out for every movie that would come out, and go to Suncoast Motion Picture Company in North County Fair Mall out in Escondido, which is still a really cool mall. And I would go there, and then I would get these magazines, look how they were making stuff, and I wanted to do that. And I would beg for a camera, and then finally one Christmas I got this Tyco camera, and I started making movies with it, and it was awesome. Before that, I would get my hands on like my parents' camera or a grandparent's camera, or somebody would be gracious enough to let me like play around. And anytime I had a moment or time, I would make a movie with that camera. I would just try at any moment or time. And I remember making those movies and doing that, and it was a mess. They were a mess. They looked like just a mess in those movies. Even if you look at some of those movies nowadays, they're just like cringy. As my daughter says, cringe. They're messy. They're messy. They're kind of cool looking. It depends on how you look at it, right? And that's a whole other thing. It's in the eye of the beholder. But they are messy. And then as I continued to work on movies, they would get better over time and better over time until I was making films, until I was getting hired. But if you look back, it was a messy process to get to where I am today. It was a messy process. It was like, didn't look good, but I had to start somewhere. And I did have many times, there was many times where I was like, there was real moments I was ready to hang it up, like give up. Meaning like making a decision like, okay, I did this. I did it. I ate my peas and carrots. I'm not good at it. I'm done. And then all of a sudden I'd be like, think about the next movie. This is what I want to make. I'm like, what is my problem? I want to make a movie again. What's the big deal? And I would pray and be like, God, why do you make me love this stuff so much? You made me love these things so much. It's like in my system, but I suck at it. I don't do it well. Like I want to do it well. I stink at this. And then I got an award, and I got a few awards in the process, and I was like, okay, cool. And to the point where I was getting hired to actually work on other people's projects and actually working on client projects and stuff like that, it was a whole process, and it took a while to get there, and I got there, and I just kept on being persistent, and it was great. But during that time of making films, some people were rude, would say things that I'm the hardest person on myself. So I already agreed with him. Yeah, that movie, that part right there, you're making fun of me about. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I didn't say that to them, or sometimes I would. I'd be like, yeah, I totally agree. We just didn't have money for that, or we didn't have the budget, and then that would be an excuse, blah blah blah. So it was like I was very hard on myself. So it was kind of like depressing sometimes. It was hard. It was messy. It was grueling to get through myself because I was negative to myself and hard on myself when I made movies and thought, man, I could do it better. Oh, I wish I could have done better. Why did I even bother going through this? Well, everybody else sometimes would say like, maybe you should, trying to help out. Maybe you should try, just try and get acting. Just try, like that. And I was like, yeah, that's why I started this. I wanted to act. I still want to act. I still am an actor. And then you get into, like, I got into television and got into a movie, get into things that's happening, like now it's happening later on. And I put myself in my own movies that have been out there, which is great. So it's kind of later as the process has gone, I look back, I'm like, that was messy, hard, fun, messy, grueling, hard, fun. And it wasn't pretty getting through it. It wasn't pretty at times. A lot of times it wasn't pretty, but I got through it. And I look at like right now too, and we'll probably talk about this a lot during this podcast series. Is I remember that time I was in my classroom, and I remember it was like maybe 2018, 2019. I remember telling some of the kids, I go, right now, I picture I want to do this with the classroom and do this. I don't know if you guys have the same vision, or if you don't, I'd say if you have a vision to do stuff, you want to make movies, because that's what we did. We were a creative media class, and we made movies, and it was really cool. And they got graded on making their films and storytelling, learning how to script write. I taught all that stuff, and I go, I don't want you guys to think about the classroom. I want you to think beyond the classroom. Knock down these walls, go out. I mean, that's what we did. So we did some projects where we teamed up with actually the school board outside. We're still in the school realm, but we got outside of our classroom into the school board, making a promotional video for them. And then we got out of that, and then we did a public service announcement that went like worldwide, and it was really cool during the February Be Kind project, or Be Kind to People project, or something like that. It was like Kindness Day or something like that, and we made that, and we got like made it big. We made it in the news, all that kind of stuff. We did outdoor screen. We went to the theater, local theater, put our films out, did a film festival. I mean, we did everything to go beyond what we could. And getting there in the classroom wasn't pretty. I mean, we struggled, and we were learning. We're learning the process, and sometimes we didn't finish certain films just to get there. So sometimes it felt like there were some kids that felt like, we didn't finish that one movie we were working on, Mr. Ackerman. And I go, yeah, you didn't finish the movie, but you finished the test. You know things that you didn't know before. You finished this movie. You finished this piece because you were doing that movie. That was your starting point. That was your test. And then too, we always talked about how it's not glamorous. Making movies is not glamorous. I would show them behind the scenes, or we'd have guest speakers come in and talk that have worked in movies. Like we had some people that worked on like Star Trek and all the horror movies out there. And then we had people that worked in like Paramount Pictures and stuff, like my friend Jeremy. And they would talk about the business and stuff like that, and talk about what it's like to be marketing in the business. And they would show us trailers that hadn't come out yet, and then that was really cool experience. We even had makeup artists come and that just worked on a couple of big movies, and they were working on our film at the time, and it was really cool. We had this really cool thing, and then it was just talking about like how you got in the business, what did you do, and this stuff. And a lot of them they got into it they just kind of fell into it, and they found their way. Like me, I kind of I knew I always loved this stuff, like multimedia, but I mainly film. I love movies. I love filmmaking, and I fell into this, and I remember um, doing this career, like becoming a teacher or becoming a film instructor, also becoming a filmmaker, an artist. It's it's you have to. I mentioned this, I think, on my last podcast, if I remember right. It, you have to work hard to do what you love to do. You have to work hard to become who you want to become. Like if you want it, you have to. There's going to be people oppose you and tell you, they're going to tell you who you are. The world is right there telling you who you are, and but there you're already there. You're in there. You just don't know who that is yet. Don't let the world tell you who you are. The world tricks you. They want you. The world wants you. Kids, if you're listening right now, listen to me carefully. And I know some of you are going to shut me off. Not all of you. Some of you kind of want to say, oh, what was I going to say? But you have to listen to me carefully. And same with you adults, too. The world is telling you who you are and how you're supposed to be. And the truth is, you are awesome already. You just haven't found it yet. You're already great. You're already, like I used to tell this once to Nate the Great, you're great. You're great. Got to remember that. You just need to tap into it. It's there. It's already there. You got to tap into it. You got to find it. You got to find what that is. What's that thing that you can really do? What's that thing that you can do? You got to find it. And if you haven't found it, you got to go out and find it. You got to step out, get out there. Go do something, try something. You'll find it. It's going to be, that's the journey. You're going to find it. And even right now, this could be a journey for me as well, as I find what I am, what I'm doing. Like it always like changes because you're really finding the true you. And eventually you'll hit it. You'll hit that thing. Two, it's hard because you want to find out who you are internally. So no matter what happens, whatever you're successful at, you don't let that define you. You'll be you no matter what. Like if those things go away, you're still you. That's the thing. You want to be like, no matter what gets peeled away, that there you are. You're the real thing. You're the real deal. You know, that's it. This is it. You can't knock me down. This is real. I'm no fluff. I'm no fake facade. This is who I am. That's what you have to do. That's what we're always like. I remember that's what I'm always working on. I'm working on trying to be real as possible. You know, not be crazy outside. Be well behaved. Some people are, I'm so real. I punch people in face as I say hi. Punch. No, don't do that kind of stuff. No, don't do that. That's weird. I don't know why you talk like that across your eye. I have no idea. That was a weird impression, but I'm going there. But let's wrap this up here. A long wrap up. Right now, we just moved from Montana to California to pursue something, to try something new. We were like up in Montana doing things and it was going great. Things did go great. They went great. Awesome sauce. Great. And then we could feel like something's not working anymore. It's like something's not jiving. What is it? And we started to notice something. We started to notice we were in a cycle. Like this goes, and it was like we were starting over again, this cycle. Before it was this like new realm, building, the stuff was growing, everything like that was happening. And all of a sudden we hit the cycle, this hamster wheel of life, and we're like, what is going on? We noticed it was very bizarre. But I at first I thought, like, is it just me? But then my wife said something. She's like, I noticed it too. Danielle was like, I noticed this too. And I'm like, what is it? And then we noticed people around us talking, like especially people that are not happy. Like, you have people around you, they're just in ruts and stuff like that. And there's a lot of us, a lot of people out there in a rut and still, figuring out life and stuff like that. And I'm gonna hopefully come circle back to that talking about ruts. But yeah, so we noticed people around us. We felt like we see that they're in a cycle. And then there's people also around us that were still growing. Things were going good. They were not in. They were, and we saw like people. It was really cool to see people like in our family even that were in this went through this tough time and then just shoot out. And still to this day, amazing things are still happening. Growth is happening. Amazing things are happening. But they had to like go through this like messy, not pretty period in their life to get out to the other side, coming, right up to, cloud nine. They're like doing amazing. Seen friends like that happened to them, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And then I saw us, we were like, wow, something's going on. And then we were like, well, let's not compare, because that makes you depressed, because you don't want to compare. And two, we're not like, oh, we're glad for them. We wish we were like them too. We hope that if that's happening for them, this is how we saw it. We're like, if that's happening, we're cheering them on. Like, that's awesome. That could happen to us. So anytime something positive happened to our friends, we're just like, whoa, it just gave us like, if it's happening to you, it's going to happen to me. That kind of thing. It was very positive. And still, we were in this like cycle, and we felt like our options were getting limited, and we felt like we were really getting closed in, and there's no more elbow room. And we were figuring out, like, what do we need to do? And we looked at this option, this option, this option. And we're just doing what we normally would do. And then we started, that saying would pop up in which you'll hear constantly, probably on this podcast. You do the same thing you always did. You always get what you always got. And if you expect different results from that, that's the definition of insanity. And it's so true. So we realized, oh my goodness, that's us. We're doing the same routine of trying to figure out the growth, and we're in this circle. What haven't we done? We always ask, and then we hadn't asked ourselves like that for a few years. We were like, we're doing stuff different, and we were doing a lot of stuff different. But our life got in this place where we're like, we can like do the same thing, we'll probably be fine. But what haven't we done? What is one of the things we haven't done in the years that we've been doing this like thing we call life? And me and my wife looked at each other, and she's like, all of a sudden just goes, what if we just moved to California? And I'm like, huh? What if we moved to California? Why? It's the most expensive place ever. It's the worst tax place. It's like they don't like small business. It's the weirdest place ever. I'm sorry if I'm offending Californians. I am truly a Californian. I was born in San Diego. And I looked at my wife, and I'm like, you're a Montana. What are you saying? And I felt like I was a Montana going, what the heck? I still feel like I'm Montana. I am Montana. Montana made me Montana. I was reborn in Montana. I'm telling you right now. Changed my life. Beautiful place. Go to Hamilton. If you're hearing this, you Hamiltonians, best people out there. Good people. Good people. Go there. Go to the Super One. Go to all those stores. Any store you go into, it's just amazing. You just gotta it's walking into a postcard town, and everybody is amazing. Even like people that look a little scary. Amazing people. They're nice people. They're good people. There's a lot of good people out there. Anyways, and what I'm finding right now in California, where I am right now, so many good people out here. So amazing people out here. You can find people where you go. You can find them. There's good people out there. If you search, you'll find them. If you just stay negative, and you're gonna find negativity no matter what. If you put negative in front of your eyes. Negative, that's all you're going to see. You got to pull that away. So anyways, my wife and I were like, what haven't we done? Let's move to California. I'm like, this is crazy. I never thought you would say this, small town girl. We packed up the kids. That sounds horrible. We put them in the car. We didn't pack them up. We put them in the car. We literally put the cat in like a cat carrier. We had the dog with us. We were in a 2-door Mustang. I had this like cargo thing that you put on like a canvas carpet, canvas, vinyl cargo carrier thing, mushy, like a backpack, a huge backpack goes on top of your SUV. Well, I put it on my back window of my Mustang, and it would look like a backpack. Look at it actually made my Mustang look like the Back to the Future car, the DeLorean, and it had like the flux capacitor, Anyway, so we packed that thing up, packed our trunk up with everything. I put as much of my personal studio of Fast Coast Productions in the trunk. I even got my nice like TV screen, put it in there, and all that kind of stuff, and put everything in there. Got the car all packed up. We cleaned out our house, and it was horrible. It was like we were up to like 2 in the morning. Thank you to my friend Lucas Lapara. You guys ever see Lucas? If you know Lucas, give him a high five, a big hug. Don't creep him out though. You got to tell him who you are first. Tell him who sent you. Christian sent you. Give a big hug, but not a long, creepy one. Just a quick one. Um, anyways, he's in Hamilton. Anyways, thank you, Lucas, for watching too. If you're watching right now, man, love you, man. He helped me out, and he just has a big heart, and he helped me out. Came out, and we just had the greatest conversation, the greatest time, even though we were tired carrying things out. And he kept on going, man, this is just great. I get to hang out with my friend. And it was like kind of sad too, because it was like our last night to hang out, like our last, like, I think we had like one more night after that, but it was our last night. And so I remember sweeping out our house and looking at our house going, man, this is it. The sad thing was when we were moving, we didn't know, all we had was we're going to my grandma's house. My grandma has a huge house out here in California, and she had a place for us to stay, like a little, like our own like living room. It was like a little studio apartment kind of thing. And we were going to live in this little thing, this little tiny thing in there. And we've been in tiny houses. The house we moved out of was very tiny, but we weren't in our own place, in our own home, the place that was ours. And that would really bugged me. And pride really set in. I'll talk about pride later in other podcasts. But I want to stay with the point of it ain't pretty. And I remember struggling with that. I remember driving. We were driving to California, and it wasn't really like exciting anymore. It was more like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. What are we doing? This is insane. I look over, and our cat's in the car, our dog's in the car, our kids are in the car. What are we doing to our kids' life? What are we doing to our lives right now? What is going on? This is bizarre and scary. And I just gave my resignation to the school. And what am I doing? I'm a high school teacher. I do a noble job, a noble work. It's really cool to say I'm a high school teacher. It's very noble to say that, and very awesome to say you're a high school teacher. And very cool. Never thinking that would ever happen in my life. And we come to California, and my car kind of does something, breaks down. I have to learn to fixed it, because, you do that kind of thing. We get here, and there's already a family issue here at the house. There's some issues when we come in that we didn't know was an issue. We had to deal with these family issues to a point where I was brought like to the forefront, to ground zero of it, and had to help and deal with this stuff, which was very hard and taxing on us. And but we got through it and did it. It wasn't pretty, but we did it. And then I'm thinking about my grandma right now. I'm going to use this as an example. She has this nice house, beautiful house, nice huge kitchen. And last week, a pipe burst underneath the sink by the dishwasher, and kind of spewed out water and destroyed part of the floor and destroyed the cabinets underneath, destroyed some of the wall and stuff like that. Just a big mess. It wasn't pretty. And then we had the plumber come out and fix it, and then it turned into this whole other thing, a whole fiasco, where the insurance got involved, and all of a sudden these guys came in, they're worried about mold and all this stuff because the house is like 24 years old. Well, they ripped out everything, ripped out the floor around it, and now her kitchen looks like a disaster zone. It looks like Ebola, like a radioactive, thing. They put up this plastic with the zippers and these hazard signs for just in case there was mold, but they found out there was no mold, and it's fine. But now her kitchen's destroyed. There's no kitchen. There's no stove. There's nothing. The refrigerator's in the living room. Everything's discombobulated and ugly looking. It looks like a scene from a movie, which we did take advantage of production value. My kids from high school know, or people know what I'm talking about. If you've seen Super 8, we used our production value, and we used it. We used what, if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Anyway, so it's a mess right now. And it's kind of depressing her. It's like sad, like my kitchen, it's gone. She likes her kitchen. It's like the routine has been messed up. It's not pretty. But I was thinking, I'm using this as an example as it came to me, and this actually started the whole idea of doing this podcast but if we look at what we see just in front of us or what we're going through at the moment, it is a disaster. The sink's ripped out, the stove's ripped out, the floor's ripped out. You can see the cement, you can see the pipes, you can see the 2x4s in the wall. You can see this. It's not a pretty picture anymore. It's not pretty. It ain't pretty. It's destroyed. But we're going to rebuild that kitchen. We're going to start building that bits by bit. A contractor's going to come in, fix up that kitchen. And at the end of this not pretty kitchen, at the end there's going to be a beautiful finished kitchen, a brand new kitchen. It's going to be brand new, sparkly, like something from a catalog you'd see, or something like in a poster, or on like Studio McGee, or on B&B Cabinetry & Co. So, about her construction. Just little nods to some people I know out there. I love very dearly. Studio McGee, was the first thing I thought of. I don't know him that well, so I don't know if I love him. But the other two, I love. B&B Cabinetry, Bauer Construction. People I love dearly. Family. Great family. Anyways, the kitchen's going to be built, and it's going to be brand new and beautiful. And I feel like our life is like that. When we're building our life, sometimes we build something and we get it just right. Like us, we had our life just right in that 2018, 2019, then something happened. A pipe burst, and it was changed, and everything was ripped out. And we're like, what are we doing? Where's our sink? Where's our stove of life? Where is the stuff we're used to? Okay, well, we could try to rebuild with what we have here, with the stove we already have and the broken this, and put the pieces together. We can rebuild and it'll be fine. But we've done this before so many times. Why don't we try to get a new contract and try something different? Why don't we even move out? Let's do something crazy and move out. We've never done that. And we decided to change something. Because if you do the same thing you always done, you always get what you always got. And if you're expecting different results every time you do the same thing, that's the definition of insanity. So your life right now might stink, might not be pretty, but there's going to be a new kitchen. And what is it that you have to do differently? What is your new direction? What is it that you do over and over again? Over and over again. But what is that one thing you can do that's so scary and out of whack and positive? It's positive, but you don't know how in any case, like how you're going to do it. We didn't know how we were going to do this whole thing we're doing right now. Our life right now is in construction again. We are rebuilding our life right now, and it ain't pretty. But we know on the other side, it's going to be a brand new, beautiful, sparkly, brand new house of life. It's going to be a huge house of life that's going to be amazing. It's going to be better than the one we had before. We know that. It ain't pretty. As you build your life, it ain't pretty. But through this journey, at the end, once you get there, you'll have this beautiful, amazing thing that you built. You'll be able to look back and go, wow, look at that thing you built, your life. And I hope that you're doing something you love right now, or you're striving for something you love to do right now, and you're not sitting back watching other people do it living through vicariously through them by watching YouTube videos, this podcast, whatever it is, other people, famous people. We tend to do that. We live vicariously through people. What is it, instead of living vicariously, how do you turn those people into mentors? How do you turn those people into something like, that's what I want to do? And hopefully these are good people too. Don't follow the bad people. Hopefully you're following great, admirable people. All people are not perfect, but hopefully you're following somebody admirable. And what can you do different than being just the watcher and just the person running in the hamster wheel? What is your moment, your pivot moment to jump off that hamster wheel and change your life forever? It ain't pretty building your life, but we can do it. My name's Christian Ackerman here on the Mr. Ackerman Rant Podcast 3000. I love you guys, 3000. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more podcasts. We'll have them every week. There's more in the description. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later.